Eventually a full test mirror as here we go. Koloman bringing his full test. Pronio leading off with Shoop.
Big moment for both players here, both playing. Koloman has won the Red Tournament, the Red Dragon Tournament previously. As we saw, a lot of great players were involved in that. Pronio looking for a major win here for Gwent Open. Both players have punched their ticket to Gwent Challenger as their opponents as well, Hannah-chan and Demorcus. We'll see all of these faces, but for the glory, Pronio hailing from the Ukraine, Koloman hailing from Germany. Let's crown a champion of Gwent Open number 6, my friends.
I got that around, sorry. It is Koloman with his Bruver, Shoop, and Pronio leading off with his full test. I got it the other way around. As Koloman did have, was wondering a little bit there what his last mulligan would be. A pretty solid hand, especially considering he does have a Silver Spy, and he does have Shoop. Those are two very important cards in this deck, as Bruver, Shoop, because of the fact that it has to run one copy of each bronze card, does struggle with drawing the cards that it needs, especially that Silver Spy and of course its win condition.
Now what it doesn't struggle to draw is dwarves. We have Barkley. He had to get the Mercenary, which buffs Barkley, so the option of decoying Barkley is maybe just a little bit less enticing here. Although I believe most of the pulls actually were buff-based dwarves, so that was pretty possible. He also had the possibility of actually pulling a Skirmisher, which would have had no target. But at this point here, Pronio and Koloman both playing thinning right here, and this may be just a denial on the Blue Stripe Scout.
He does have another one in hand though, but if that one were to go down as well, then the marching orders onto Reaver Scout would be nullified, and Pronio will not be able to complete the initial carryover play. And he does have an answer for it, and that is Panther. And in this matchup, you actually want to play Panther early on, as it is quite easy to disrupt because of all the muster units that are being played. So I expect Panther to go down here to deny that second Blue Stripe Scout and thus shut down Pronio from getting the third. And this is very impactful.
Yeah.
This means a lot. Like not being able to play that last Blue Stripe Scout translates into a heavy loss of value. But this Fultus won't be able to pull out the third Commando as the Commandos have been buffed to 5 strength prior. So he's able to get that crewman in there.
Quick apology, the Georgian Skirmisher was in hand when I was talking about Barkley, so that actually wasn't a pull option there for Koloman. As Koloman has, a really good hand for decoy. He has so many options for decoy if he wants to play it this round. Barkley pulls another Dwarf, Panther, and Swordmaster provide extra removal. The Elven Mercenary provides extra thinning. So there's just a lot of great options for Koloman with decoy. Again, probably one of the best lists that makes use of decoy, outside of some Nilfgaard lists, I would say, but it's just so strong, decoying stuff like Hattori, getting that extra resurrection value from boosting Hattori, decoying Barkley, getting those extra thinning and just having that extra power. Barkley is such a strong card with its strengthening effect, and still the utility of Bruver available. Koloman just has what I was calling earlier in this tournament a Swiss Army knife of a deck. Shoop is just a really hard to catch it in a bad matchup.
Yeah, Shoop is just a very, very solid deck all around, and the fact that Koloman was able to defeat Great Swords with it, which is technically believed to be his worst matchup, says a lot of the power of this deck and how confident Koloman felt leading off with it on blue. As he's about to drop that Elven Mercenary, he's going to pick up either a Mardrim or more likely a Reconnaissance. And it seems we're going to see Hawker support here.
Hawker support really can just buff Triss or the Skirmisher, the Sage, not quite ready to make an appearance as there's nothing in the graveyard quite yet. Triss, that's just going to make a much better final play. That's going to be the power card here as Pronio sees the advantage here. Koloman going down 2 cards to take this one. That is pretty crucial.
That is pretty devastating for Koloman there. That's exactly what Pronio wanted. He also managed to thin out all the Blue Stripes Commandos, so the odds of him breaking his hand in round 2 when he draws 2 cards is pretty much non-existent, as even if he were to draw 2 infantries, he would be able to mulligan one of them away, as he draws into 1 infantry and Ronvid as well.
That Reconnaissance was brutal. That's the problem, right?
Brutal,
he couldn't play the Sage.
Exactly.
He couldn't play the support. Wasn't enough tempo.
Yeah.
And the options that Koloman had, Neophyte Brigade, any of the dwarves, the half-elf hunter, like so many cards got him at least within a tie to Pronio, if not surpassing it. So that was a little bit of bad luck on Koloman's side. It cost him a card. Haven's going to get one back. Of course, Shoop is very strong. Aglace and Triss are bomb cards here. You just have so much power potential. He has a great hand for being down a card, you could say. You'd say he has the best potential to win, even though he is now at a disadvantage.
Down goes Javen, picks up the Redhead Brigade after pondering for a bit there. Perhaps thinking about maybe Mardrumming Stennis to deny a Shani res, but ultimately decided to go with the Weather Clear. A safer and more reliable option. Aglace will find very good value in this matchup, especially if he picks up on that marching orders. So his hand is looking very strong, but he has to find a way to get that card back, and I don't think that's possible.
Do you think he might actually try to draw a card with Shoop and also maybe settle for the charm here? It maybe not be a bad idea, considering you have, like, look at the power in his hand. He has Isengrim, he has Aglace, and he has Triss. He can afford to spend a huge bomb here if he thinks that it's actually going to get him the value he needs to push.
No,
not this time, though. Coleman's going to pass here. He wants a longer round for sure. He does have a couple of options, but I think that, you know, it's possible that that was a consideration.
No, for sure. The thing is, in a long round, you may want to look to utilize Shoop to spawn triple weather, but it's not something you really want to go for here, as the opponent is playing the likes of Death Mold. Even though he doesn't have him in hand, the odds of him having him are very high. So I'm going to be very intrigued to see what he opts to do with Shoop. Pronio has a lot of power.
And he has another chance here to maybe play Shoop as the mage, go for the card draw, charm Ronvid, or maybe just set up weather. Well, he could also set up weather with Ida right now on Ronvid as well, because that's going to be the row where the machines are going to try to get its crewman value. And no Death Mold in hand for Pronio, although I think the Reaver Scout hasn't been played yet, I believe, so Marching Orders is still calling that out.
Yeah, I believe Marching Orders is indeed going to pull out. No, the Reaver, yeah, the Reaver Scout is still in his deck, right? Yeah, so Marching Orders is not good for that. He has to thin first before playing Stennis, and he could try to fish it with Stennis, but in reality, he has to play one of the two machines before that, because if he pulls a dead Reaver Scout, then, you know, that's no bueno.
No bueno indeed. Coleman with the decoy option actually has the option of playing weather on additional rows. So Pronio, maybe sensing that that was a real threat, is deciding to play on the row that has already got the weather on it, so it doesn't give Coleman that option to increase his damage over time, I suppose is one way to put it, with the weather here. As Brewer's going to come out sourcing Hattori.
Let's get the work.
Going to get Barkley back out, and we're going to see just a ton of points coming in here as Coleman's just going to push here. The agitator for a little bit extra.
That's the good point, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's the maximum Brewer.
When you're down a card, you want the value like that.
Look at that. That was so much. That was 20. That was a 24-point Brewer, right? And now he plays the Battering Ram. After this, he does have Stennis enabled, though he may opt to just go for the Marching Orders first to increment the chances of him getting that Death Mold. But the more he waits for it, the more damage that Fog will rack up. But I think Pronio is definitely looking to thin and get that clear going.
And one of the reasons why this is such a great deck right now, this full test list, is that you have such great thinning options, and you can continue to thin. So Stennis and Dijkstra are punishing. There's a high chance that Dijkstra is going to be pulling Vernon and or Seltkirk, which is just going to be, that's going to slam the door on Coleman. However, there is still a Blue Stripe Scout, I think, available as well. So it could go a couple of different ways. With the decoy on Barkley, as we were talking about, there's another Mohawkam Guard. So that's how the decoy is going to play here, as another weather row isn't all that appealing as the round gets shorter and shorter. And the decoy potential, the power from Barkley is it's really hard to say no to.
Opting want the buff here, going for the brother Mackham Guard right there. Putting him up to 11 points, and down goes Stennis. He's fishing for that clear. He has Reaver Scout will not be a dead pull here, and if he does pull the Reaver Scout, that's not that bad at all.
That worked for him. No fear of Shiru in this matchup. No fear of an Igni in this matchup. So that isn't as scary as it may look if you were playing perhaps on the ladder where your opponent could have absolutely anything.
It's also very important that, you know, it is a slight 20% chance, but that armor could sponge the next Fog hit, which could definitely matter here.
Double crewman as well, very useful with that Scout and Ronvid teaming up.
Pronio trying to hold on to that Marching Orders as much as he can. He does know his opponent is playing English, so he may try to preserve it for the very end.
Ooh, extra Hattori perhaps for...
Ooh, that Millen. That Millen is so much awesome value.
Yeah, Millen gets a lot of value. Hattori's options, I think, resing Elven Mercenary, should he want to do that, but I think you just get a lot more value from... You can go either way. I mean, I think, yeah, Mullane gets a lot of value. Mullane is always just not a bad choice here, but the Mardrome does allow to destroy that crewman and also destroy the potential sponge potential on the Fog row. But yeah, the options were there. I mean, getting an extra Elven Mercenary and a little bit of extra... the thinning isn't so important here because Coleman basically has everything he needs and wants.
And now he's able... This is a very valuable res here, being able to sponge one hit from the Fog by getting that Siege Tower in the melee road right next to the crewman, getting it up to 12. Pronio with a 9-point lead over Coleman. This match is tight, though. This is definitely... He may actually opt to utilize the Overhead Brigade to move it out of the way so that the fog keeps ticking. I think that's his best play. Going to target that siege tower, get it out of the melee row so that the fog will hit for 2 next turn. And his remaining 3 cards are power, but if Pronio preserves that marching order for his very last play, Aglaze will be an 8-point gold. Unless... no, but he can't really afford to do that because he'll probably pick up a reinforcement with Dijkstra otherwise.
One of us or not.
And he could...
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to avoid, or perhaps even, it's going to be really hard to avoid playing something that Aglaze can use. I mean, obviously, weather would be the worst for Aglaze because, you're not going to get a lot of value out of that. But getting...
Ooh, what do you think? I think, instead of going for the battering ram next to Ronvid and hitting the agitator and getting an extra point off that swing, he opted to hit both Hattoris so that in case Coleman opts to go for Shoop to bounce back that Hattori and give it +5, he denies that play.
Yeah, when you bounce to Hattori with Shoop, you basically can resurrect almost anything as Hattori comes down as a 9-point. Nice
foresight there by Pronio. Sorry.
Yeah, that is... I mean, Pronio knows that Coleman could have just an absolute bomb hand here, so he's looking for everything possible here. He's going to get a reinforcement on the extra buff Triss, and there comes the half-elf hunter. Game's pretty close. Pronio with the extra card, Dijkstra potentially pulling Vernon Roach or Seltkirk, or both of those cards, but also potentially pulling a card that Aglaze can make use of.
Hovering over the DJ. I think it's about time he goes down.
The spinning is done. It's time to spin a tune here.
Dead series.
Ooh, did he get Vernon? Or is that... Oh, God,
Seltkirk. That's a strong swing. That's a 20-point Seltkirk right there, followed by a reinforcement. This is powerful. A ram, a battering ram.
It's going to be the last ram.
Gotta spare Dijkstra, despite his, betrayal. You gotta let him live.
But now Aglaze with the reinforcements, and I believe there are numerous soldiers available in the ranks of the dwarves and elves.
Marching orders, though, right?
Marching orders is pulling a sage at this point.
Oh, well.
If I'm not mistaken. Because the sage we saw from...
it's pulling a sage.
We saw from the reinforcement earlier.
That means you'll go for the...
Yeah, you get the sage from the marching orders, or you can get something else, I suppose. The sage.
What soldier remains for him is the question.
Vriad Brigade. That's not better than the sage.
No, he's already played Vriad Brigade. The Neophyte.
Oh, he's played. Yeah, Vriad Brigade is on the. The Neophyte is available.
This is an interesting choice.
Actually, the Neophyte's available, and I think that's it. Actually.
Yeah, I think you go marching orders into Sage, into Mardrem on the siege tower in the back. I think that's what we're gonna see. Yep, Sage into Mardrem into Siege. Yep. That would fit perfectly. Thank you, Sage.
Coleman doing everything he can here. Still down in this matchup. Shoop probably tops out at 25 points. Pronio just has... the Dijkstra has been played here. The big plays for Pronio are out at this point. He has the siege tower, which does have the extra crewman. And here Coleman has one hell of a gap to close with Shoop.
It comes down to this. He is 16 points behind, but the fog is ticking. So he's not that far behind. That siege tower represents 13 points. 16. I believe regardless of what Shoop does here, is there a Shoop that can win him the game? Is there an option here that can do it? What remains in his deck?
I'm trying to think of a really good option.
He hits so much.
For Hunter's Decoy, I'm trying to think of something there. I don't know if Barkley has a pull anymore. A lot of dwarves came out of the deck. We saw the Agitator. I believe we did see everything the Skirmisher was in the opening hand.
Barkley can't be used anymore.
Well, here we're going to see He's going to go for as much value as he can get here.
25?
He's going to go for that 25, I suppose.
Yep, he's going for
the most he
25.
Can do.
Yeah, the
he has to hope
Shoop.
it's enough, but it is not.
Wait, is it?
Well, the fog
It's a tie!
Oh my God, are we going to see another tie?
Kidding me?
Pronio.
Oh my.
Oh my God.
All right, that's one way to start.
And the only way he had to play it into the fog, or else he doesn't get the boost from the crewman. Pronio, with the ties and the full test matchups, we're game in and we're not even started, Mogwai.
Oh,
Let's
my Lord.
go again. Coleman going down a card with that butchered reconnaissance actually gets another chance here to take this away from Pronio. That's huge for Coleman.
Yeah, that's huge for Coleman. Like the fact that Pronio was not able to finish him off after that -2 drop in round 1. is tremendous. Like the fact that Coleman was able to tie that game definitely is more beneficial to him than to Pronio. Pronio has to find a way to get back to that same position.
Yeah.
Coleman managed to thin to like 2 cards left in his deck with a Shoop deck.
Shoop's got skills, you know, like the way that the way that Scoia'tael functions, just with so many great tutors. You have Barkley, of course. You have the Elven Mercenary. You have Triss helping you out with the reconnaissance, and it's just you get there. You have, and with the Glace being able to actually get that extra tutor, it was really, really strong. And Coleman being down a card, but man, his hand was stacked. All 4 golds were available, and he got there and has another chance here. So we're gonna get things started right away. Game 2/Game 1. Still trying to crown a champion here at Gwent Open. As we go one more time.
It's true what they say. There's no winners in war.
Yeah, no winners in war. That's definitely true here. Elves versus elves must die at a standstill. Once again.
I think the key here, I think what Pronio has to try to do is he needs to try to preserve like Dijkstra as a last play and somehow not play reinforcements or marching orders until the very end so that he makes Eglaze a dead card.
It's so hard though when Dijkstra's
uncontrollable. What he has to try to do. He doesn't have it in his opening hand, which is very nice. Like the fact that he's not, forced to play it in round 1 potentially is very key. And if he can hold on to those cards and somehow, get them as a last say, making Eglaze, the dry
Look
pass.
at this completely different approach from Coleman.
Mind.
I was looking at, because before he was able to play Barkley, he had the decoy option. This is a different hand, and Coleman feels like perhaps because he has the double weather, he's maybe more favored in a long round. He knows he will always have weather ticking because he can at least answer a clear with another weather. Here come the draws.
The double brick.
But this is why it's so good to pass on full test. You get the bricks. Full test needs to thin. I think that it's so interesting how we see 2 completely different approaches from Coleman in the same matchup here, and Pronio now stuck with a commando in hand.
That blue stripe scout, really angry at that drive pass play. Throwing off some hateful remarks towards the human race.
And on top of all of it here,
down.
Coleman going to be able to control that the blue stripe scout, so the Reaver scout won't be able to source that last scout as the elves must die. Careful, they can hear it. They can hear that.
Definitely going to go down for another removal. He did, the thing Foltest does is it does prevent the Dolblath and an Archer from eliminating the first Blue Stripe Scout by buffing it up to 5 once it hits the board. But there's no, okay, I think we're gonna see a Marjoram here. We're gonna see Evan Merc into Marjoram. He's gonna preserve the zapping for potentially weather generation. I like this play.
And that also stops Shawnee from bringing back the that's actually not something that Shawnee would do. I'll take that one back. But yeah, eliminating it from the game one way or another. Getting the value out of Marjoram in this matchup where there's not a lot of boosts outside of like the siege towers and I guess just the natural boosts on the commandos, it's probably just fine. You want to remove that scout anyway at any given time. Put that Marjoram in the graveyard in case you have another situation where that Sage comes out of the recon. Coleman just kind of protecting himself a little bit more this time around.
I think this dry pass approach may be better for Coleman. I think he realized this, especially considering the fact that Pronio, he's playing Northern Realms, and Northern Realms don't tend to run Talor nowadays. So he doesn't really have to worry about a Silver Spy being developed here, despite him not having one in his hand. And down goes the first source of weather. No Death Mold in Pronio's hand. I bet he really wishes that Blue Stripe Commando was a Death Mold.
Yeah, exactly. That's the draw he would have wanted. And perhaps the draw he could have gotten if he had the option to thin, but Coleman denying that ability right there. And now Coleman, at one point I was thinking Coleman needs to be in a position to afford to play the weather, but no. He's just going to make this very uncomfortable for Pronio immediately.
But we're broke as shit peddlers.
Going to get value out of that scout anyway.
It'll be interesting to see how deep Pronio wants to push. He needs to be careful. He cannot allow Coleman to catch up, even though he does have a 25 current lead. The clock is ticking, or the fog is ticking. That doesn't make any sense. But basically, the fog is hurting them.
Oh, ticking. I mean, that's
it does make sense.
That's a fair term to say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I agree.
We're a team, Mogwai. Barkley doing a little bit more thinning on these dwarves. Now Coleman trying to put some of his power plays into. Now that the fog is ticking here, he's not going to be developing another one because he wants to, of course, have an answer for the clear if Pronio were to have it here. And now Pronio is just making sure that he's got a nice, healthy lead at all times. All 4 golds in Pronio's hand. Vernon also helps with the thinning. And just an overall very strong play. Vernon, by the way, we're talking Mogwai about how great Vernon has been for these full test lists. Everyone running it, not even a choice that's been very popular lately, but with Temerian full test having so many great matchups, I think here, and just being a real terror in this competition. Vernon's been looking great.
I think 2 things make Vernon great, and one of them is, first of all, the control factor. Dealing 7 damage makes him a very good tool against the likes of Skellige Greatswords, as he's able to hit down the Ankre Greatswords after it receives 1 ping from the Longship. And on top of that, a lot of people refer to Vernon as a 21-point gold. But in reality, those 21 points are potentially distributed between different rounds, as it is divided between his body, which can reach up to 7 points through the Blue Stripe Scouts, and the commando that comes along with him. Sorry, and the hit. But that Blue Stripes commando that is included onto the deck can be relevant in, for example, a different round. Like, I think that's what makes him so reliable. It does. Ooh, that's nice. That's a great pull.
That fog protection right there. Pronio's going to get.
That's fantastic.
That's going to get a lot of value out of Stennis. Now Stennis also going to be active for Shawnee in round 3.
That Stennis may seem like 16 points, but it could potentially be 20, as 2 fog ticks right there will be nullified by the 5 armor onto Ronvid there. Really solid Stennis pull there for Pronio.
Well, the great thing about Stennis is that anything gets that armor right there. He knew that he didn't have to be scared of drawing that Blue Stripes commando. The Scout, I think, is still around in the deck, so that is a liability for Dijkstra. Although if he's able to get the commando back out and he can't get that Scout, it's possible that he could pull them both, and that would be terrible for Pronio, and that's in this situation. Yorbeth coming in to get the decoy on Barclay.
Onto Barclay. Powerful Singer Montla play here.
Gotta get this stinking mess in order.
Coleman is starting to catch up here as Pronio is starting to get his armor value at the moment, but Pronio is in charge of this round. It's going to go as long as he wants. He wants to see a little bit more here, and he wants to make sure that Coleman isn't able, he's trying to get a lead that forces Coleman to play huge plays, or actually having to invest 2 cards to take the lead here. And like we said, Pronio's hand can afford to be very flashy at all 4 golds going into this round, but at the same time, that Blue Stripes commando means that he can't go as deep as he probably would want to go if he felt that it was going to get him the edge.
Coleman really debating here. He is a total of 23 points behind. That is quite the mountain to climb.
When do you think Pronio just drops that commando? He's got such a healthy lead. He might just drop that commando and just make it not an issue anymore.
Get it away for round 3.
Is that not? I feel
it's risky. If he draws, drawing 2 infantries can really screw him, right? But I think you kind of go for it anyways. You're trying to play to win at this point, right? And having that 24 points, he's going Dijkstra now. That's risky.
Show me marching orders.
That enables the Igles.
Vadermaker coming down for the zap. And our second card is Reinforcements. Double tutor from Dijkstra.
Oh, there it goes. Good timing for the Blue Stripe Scout there.
But that gave some information to Coleman, however, because the commander didn't join him.
Yeah. But that's still a very strong push. I mean, and the fact that he didn't pull the infantry is so good for him because, well, I take that back. Like, that's risky. I mean, because he could, mulliganing away that Blue Stripes commando now is, yeah, it's risky. It's extremely risky. Like, he has a high chance. He has 5 cards left in his deck. He has a high chance of drawing 2 infantries in a row here.
Pronio's lead is just so massive, and I'm wondering, now you've seen 2 golds invested into this round to build a lead. How far is Pronio willing to go here to push Coleman into just an insane deficit of points? Coleman doesn't have his strongest card available in Shoot, but he does have an activated Glace to cat. There is the pass from Pronio.
Good pass. That is a lot of points.
God, so many points.
Pronio may get a card back here. Pronio may actually get card advantage over Coleman, and that would be huge. Coleman has, so the fog is going to take for 2 more points, so he needs to make a 23-point play. Can he do that?
Glace pulls
marching orders or reinforcements. What can he do with that?
Marching orders is on the Sage, which has the Mardrome, which doesn't find a ton of value here.
Yeah, there's not, Mardrome is 7, so 7 plus 4, 11, Plus 9, 20. That's not enough.
I don't think
It's a
the
20-point
reinforcement
play.
makes it any sweeter.
It's a 20-point play, and then Barclay, can Barclay do something? Nope. Oh man, he's got that extra card out of. Oh wow, Pronio with the. What a key round 2 for Pronio, getting an extra card out of Coleman.
This is huge, right? Going down a card once again. Coleman is just going to have to hope that he gets the power he needs. But Pronio with a hand that has Shawnee into potentially Stennis. Selkirk is just a massive play and a safe mulligan here.
This is where it comes down to.
It's actually not safe. It's not a safe mulligan on the draw.
No, it's not. For Pronio, no. This is the risky time.
Scary. Scary.
Yeah.
Oh, Pronio knows it. Ooh.
Punished. Oh no!
Gets the card out of Coleman, but kind of loses one at the same time. Sage into Mardrome is not great at the same time.
No shoot for Coleman though.
Can't do a last save of Mardrome onto the siege tower.
No shoot for Coleman.
Yeah, no shoot for Coleman is a huge deal as well. Pronio is probably in a better position than he thinks he is, but also being up a card here, Coleman basically has to look, what's the best I can do at this point? What is the best I can do?
Drink this.
You'll feel
Possibly, is he
better.
looking for the Hawker support for the Swordmaster here? He's just going to go for the value straight up on the half-elf hunter.
That is a 21-point egg lace for Coleman, and that gives Pronio the information right there. Sorry, the Coleman the information that there's a dead infantry in his hand. He is 1 point ahead though, and 1 card up. And that Elven Swordmaster is only 3 points higher than the infantry. So the fact that he doesn't have Shoop is tremendous here. We're gonna see, the infamous Barclay into a Tory Bruver into a Tory into
the
Barclay.
You know what's interesting? You'll notice the Coleman didn't go for the support with the buff on the Swordmaster, because the Swordmaster with the double dip there actually is a point more than the half-elf hunter. But since Pronio would really never have a target available that would be higher than 7, Coleman just went to go with the half-elf hunter there. So I think that was just a really interesting, subtle decision there from Coleman.
Pronio with that excellent round 2. He bled just enough and is now putting Coleman in a very, very, very rough position here. This Sage is not going to cut it.
Sage is just going to be 11 points. Shawnee's going to make it. Shawnee into
Shawnee
Stennis.
and Tower is easily going to overcome this, and Coleman goes down after that draw. The dry pass was not the way to go. Pronio knew how to punish him, and he gets that initial win. Humans defeat the elves. I'm pretty sure Burza is happy. Not.
I'm a medic. I tend to know what I'm doing when
Some smiles from the room there. As Stennis comes down, grabbing Death Mold into the Thunder, and that'll be enough. With that extra card, even though he had a little bit of a brick there at the end, Pronio is going to be able to make it happen here. Pronio finally taking the first game. It took 2 games, but he got there. Coleman had a chance to get a win after being in an unfortunate situation, but he ended up again in an unfortunate situation where Pronio had more than he needed there to take the first game of the finals in Gwent Open number 6. And what do you think Coleman is going to be queuing into now that he has red coin here?
I think we can expect the likes of John Calvate. Alchemy on red is always very, very powerful, and it does have a matchup. Obviously, Pronio is not running great swords, but it's still a solid deck to go with. Or he may just opt to go with Bruver again. Who knows?
So. I think
I'm expecting one of those two. But I just gotta say, very impressive performance by Pronio. That round 2 was absolutely excellent. Like the way he managed to get Coleman, not only managed to push him deep, but also get that extra card out of him, going 1 card down into the round after the dry pass. I was very impressed by that. Foltest has been performing exceptionally well today. A faction that a lot of people didn't really see even making an appearance in this Gwent Open has proven to be really reliable.
So I think this is actually, it's really, we have Calvin. I was wondering if Coleman was going to think about going into Bruver, having Bruver again, maybe leading off with Bruver on blue coin, looking for the win there, but actually having a backup plan with Bruver being so much stronger on red coin, as most decks are, but instead actually opting to go with his alchemy list here, as he's going to be taking on Spicy Veterans with the Sihil gold
Mega
card.
Sword, hashtag Mega Sword, or Mega Knife, as some people suggested I should call it. This is a matchup that I've been really looking forward to see. because this Skellige deck is not your typical Skellige list. Most veteran Skellige decks out there do not run the 2-star Archer and definitely do not run Sihil. This deck is meant to punish the control decks. It's a counter to the counter that Pronio came up with, and I believe this deck also has a decent matchup against Alchemy Nilfgaard because there are no engines. Viper Witchers don't really do much else than just provide Coleman with 15-point swings, because he doesn't even have the 11 alchemy cards that a lot of players are running. So I think this is the matchup that Pronio wanted for this Skellige list, and like I said, I'm just very intrigued to see how this plays out because I'm not sure if the matchup is beneficial enough, but holy
wow,
shizzle, let's keep it PG, but what is that lead?
Play is disgusting. Dandelion dodging Roach.
What the duck was that?
Into Heim, into Skull, into Udalric for a positive spy play. Definitely.
That's disgusting.
Definitely
That's so
one of the best opening plays you will ever see right there.
Hashtag triple tutor for a
absolutely
spy. Jesus.
We just got started.
That's so nasty.
We just got started. Pronio's already thinned so much with that one card.
That is so nasty.
Morkvar coming out from hand, securing the carryover, which is just that much better in light of this supreme Ulderic play. And yeah, Pronio's going to try to make it happen here. He's got the anti-control lineup against the premier control deck in Gwent right now, the Alchemy Nilfgaard. And I mean, Pronio teching for control is definitely not something that we've seen. We've definitely seen more techs against strategy, specifically engine denial. But this is just something else. I think this is. I love the lineup from Pronio.
And look at that Roach in Coleman's hand. Feels bad, man.
Yeah, Pronio's. This is really favorable for Pronio right from the very, very start on so many levels.
Pronio gonna go down with Croc on Crate to pull the veteran, having triple. This does give Coleman information that the triple 2-star Archers are in Pronio's hand, as otherwise that would have been pulled instead. So I'm pretty sure Coleman will keep track of this.
It also gives Coleman kind of like soft information that perhaps Restore is not in Pronio's hand, as the opt or like Heme Spear Maiden as the option to get that Bearmaster restored back into the hand before the veterans start buffing it up for that crazy 21-point play Bearmaster that we've seen a couple of times already in this tournament. So there's a little bit of like soft information there for Coleman, so he can rest easy knowing that that's not an immediate threat. The first light inclusion from Coleman is really interesting, actually.
No, this is not from Coleman. This is from Pronio's deck.
It is. Yes.
It pulls it from that because Pronio is running one copy of Reconnaissance and one First Light to be able to handle weather decks, I believe, just in case. And the Viper Witcher goes down on the Morkvark. He wants to deny the carryover.
He can afford to do it too, but man, does that really suck the life out of Viper Witcher a little bit. You want Viper Witcher to get that massive value, and you actually lose. You lose it with Morkvar's Resurrection. It's so much work that Viper Witchers have to do to strike down, the unkillable Immortal Werewolf. That has seen so many positions over various metas in Gwent. Morkvarg, such an interesting card that has seen so many changes over time, finally kind of coming back to this current version that is still so good for Skellige, providing the carryover, being a cursed unit, a great pull for Skell, great pull for Heim, great pull for Croc. Just kind of finding that place here and just threatening Coleman to the point where he actually has to use Viper Witchers in this way.
The reason Morkvarg may actually see some play now is because he's sitting alone in the carryover, club, as the likes of Ogeard got completely reworked. Elven War Dancer. I know we all missed that old card tremendously, like rip Elven War Dancer.
Too fast for you, Dwan.
Everybody loved her. And yeah, he's very, there's few carryover cards now available in Gwent, and Morkvarg is one of them. But the cool thing about Morkvarg, and the reason why I really like him and his design right now, is because he is interactable. It's carryover that you can shut down. Like, you have to sacrifice tempo, but you can deal with them.
Pronio taking this pass here as Coleman does spend Cantarella to get the card back. However, now with the pass here, Coleman needs to make up the points and also deal with the fact that Pronio will have points on the board at the beginning of round 2, which prevents getting that extra card on the dry pass. Although Coleman may try to maybe just tempo out to find an option to stay ahead, but that is very risky because then you start bleeding your own resources and you ultimately can end up at a disadvantage in round 3. So Coleman needs to play his lowest commitment play that still gets him there. He will have a chance to get Roach back into the deck, which is important if he wants to play Vesemir to thin, perhaps for tempo in a later round. If he wants to be able to Asira Roach back in, it'll be a little bit harder there, as Roach needs to be played in round 2, and then Asira would have to be played in round 3. And Coleman may not. Either way, Coleman doesn't lose anything going into the round, though, because of the carryover.
Was Viper Witcher onto Morgvarg enough? No, it wasn't, right? Because otherwise he would have gone for it. I think he was exactly 7 points behind. I don't quite recall, but yeah, he opted to go for the Viper Witcher onto Cantarella. Because he could have weakened this carryover by 1 point, right? But I don't think he was able to do that. Otherwise, he would have definitely gone for it. As we see Pronio drawing that Lesser Guardian left by the, Papa Guardian in round 1. And as you said, Coleman has some work to do now. He needs to get an extra card out of Pronio this round. But the question is, can he do that? Especially because 2 veterans have been played, which means a lot of carryover value is present in Pronio's hand. His cards are thicker than they used to be, and thus his plays are going to be stronger. So out-tempoing him is a very difficult task, especially for this hand. I just don't quite see it happening.
It's really difficult for Coleman here. He is going to play Asira first, though, so he's able to influence, possibly, deny a Great Sigurdry for Resurrection here, actually denying both of them there. So that is. That does hurt. It does take away some of the potential of the long round value of the buffs of the veterans. This is great for Pronio because that means that's going to go into the graveyard for round 3, as Pronio now does have Restore in hand, making it's still good. Even if you can't buff that veteran or buff that Bearmaster in your hand, you'll still take the 18-point Restore. The 8-point Bearmaster.
Coleman getting 10 points ahead of Pronio right there.
There's that first light again.
Dropping down Triss and getting another Bearmaster. Wojtek, done!
So the more Twistark units that touch down on the board, the more round value. Well, again, yeah, the Asira denies the veterans any further at this point in this round.
Yeah, that was a nice timing for Azir. I pronounced Karazai how I want to, didn't I?
I think Pronio at this point with the 13-point archers, at this point Coleman has to put Pronio on some sort of option and some sort of break points on tempo at this point, or he's just trying to stock up his graveyard and thin as much as possible. No, he's spending some pretty big resources here.
He's really trying to pressure him. The thing is, Pronio, the more he pushes, the more risky it can become for Coleman, as if Pronio gets a solid enough lead, he will be able to drop that Lesser Guardian. I'm pretty sure Coleman is not going to let that happen. Like, he's not going to push him to a point where he's like 7 points behind. But if he does, if Pronio would be able to get that Lesser Guardian out of his hand for free, that would pretty much cement his position, I believe. Pronio is in a very, very dominant spot right now. That opening with Dandelion into Heim, into Scow, into Roach, into Aldrich was ridiculous.
It almost sounds like you're exaggerating. Like it's almost like you have to see it to believe it. It was just such a powerful
I'm gonna be
play.
honest. If I'm laddering and somebody does that to me, I will not wish happy things for them.
No GG. No GG.
Like I would be pretty disgusted. But Pronio really making that work, and man, he's just doing really well here. Like
Coleman,
I'm still very impressed by that round 2 with full test. Like I'm still very, very impressed by that.
Coleman staying in this round, he's kind of going for a strategy that
he's enabled the Lesser Guardian here.
It's true. You can just drop it right now and stay ahead.
Now, will this may be a bait though? He may be baiting him. He may be like, yeah, drop your Lesser Guardian now, and then I'll follow up with a very powerful play that you won't be able to catch up to. But Pronio goes for it.
Coleman only 3 points behind right now, so Vesemir is a very strong play. Blackblood
He
is in
has
hand.
to go for it. The
Yeah.
biggest play he can come up with now. He has to go for it. This is his chance.
He's going to opt just to thin a little bit more and get. He does have.
He's going big.
Yeah, he's going
fine.
big. Viper Witcher is available. Oh, it's just another novice for further thinning, so he's going to get the extra 2 points on the Swallow Potion or the Ale. The Ale is,
Yeah,
is
you
much
gotta go
better.
for the ale.
So 2 ointments being played here from Coleman in this round.
He didn't go for the strongest play though. Like if you really wanted the strongest play, he would have gone for Vesemir. So I think he's maybe a little bit skeptical. Oh, if he drops the Archer here though, that's gonna tie him. He can't drop the Archer. This puts Coleman in an awkward spot. He did it. Coleman did it. He got the pass. This is his pass. Oh my God, he did it. He baited the. Ooh.
I mean, like what are the other?
There's no world in which Coleman does not pass here, right?
I mean, you put Pronio on. You put Pronio on a strong round 3. So you have Freya's, you have Sigurdrifa. You can see that
Wait.
Sihil isn't even getting that much value. And of course, if you're putting him on Restore, which you haven't seen yet, you go ahead and you push a little bit harder. And this could be the pass.
No,
Coleman's
he
really
may
thinking
be
about it.
looking to 2-0.
I mean, yeah.
He
when
may think that Azar wins him the game. He could go for that.
I mean, you
He's thinking about
He
it.
knew he had the 3 archers in
He's
hand the whole
thinking
time.
about it.
Bear
He's
Masters have all been played.
He's really thinking about this. He's really debating, do I take the pass, do I take the safe route, or do I go for the kill? Because if Pronio had a stronger play than this, he would have gone for it, right?
Oh, is Coleman going to push?
Oh, the clock is ticking. Does he go for it? Oh, he
he-
passes!
Couldn't go for it. I mean,
He could have told him, I think.
Oh, I mean, look at the cards. Like, I mean, you have Sihil and 3 reses, and you got the veterans already back in the deck. All the
Mega
archers
Sword
on-
is going to go
all
down.
of the-
Mega Knife. Or,
He could have.
Mega Tutor.
With perfect information, you can see that the push could have been a real consideration here, but Coleman ultimately playing it to go into this on even with last say is definitely Coleman is happy with that here. But the resurrections here are going to be massive for Pronio. The restore, Sigurdrifa now has a number of targets, as is the Freya, and the draw into the final veteran. Probably, yeah, there's not a lot of value. The Freya is absolutely fantastic. If you can't get the long
that
round onboard
Vilgefortz
value
draw.
from the veteran, you probably don't want to keep it here. And Pronio is going to get to work here, starting off the restore and just starting to resurrect things out of the graveyard.
Go for the restore onto the bear. That is a 19-point play.
Just a
and gonna
dream
follow it
hand
up
here
with
for
a
Pronio.
res.
Before modern Freya.
Bow before modern Freya. This is tight, but I think Coleman may get this now.
I mean, like, it's a great hand for Pronio. It's a great hand for Coleman. He got even. He got last say.
Wow.
He got the tie.
That Coleman. Sorry, that pass.
That Coleman.
That
What a player.
Coleman. That guy. What a guy. That hand though is just so solid. Like Vesemir, Papa Vesemir, Vilgefortz, Calvate still available. Getting
And-
Roach out of the deck as well.
The extra roach there that Asira was able to. I mean, Coleman calculated it really well. It was so impressive to see that actually end up in a tie there. But that was such an intense decision. Oh, I thought he was going to go for it. I thought he was.
He was debating.
It's
He was thinking about it.
foolish though. It's if I mean, man, we can see it, right? We see it. But Coleman's hand is great. Calvet's still available. You know exactly what he's going to pull. Only 3 cards left. Vilgefortz, and you actually get to see what Vilgefortz is going to pull for you. Black Blood may just go for the ghoul.
50% chance to get it. 50%
Let's see
chance
it.
to get the ghoul. I think it's around 50. Yeah, there it
No,
is.
He's going to get it. That's a pretty big play here for Coleman.
Oh man, the
Already
fact that
got
he
a pretty
that
strong
ghoul,
hand.
That's insane. That's 17 points. I think. No, that's 19 points math. I think there's no way Coleman loses this. With John Calvate and Vilgefortz as his last plays, and no Mega Sword to save Pronio. I think this is a wrap. I think Coleman got this game back.
Coleman's going to take a peek with John Calvert just to take a look at the sequencing here.
Man, I thought he was done for. I legitimately did, but he pushed him deep enough. We've seen these two players play excellent.
Ooh.
Oh wait!
Oh, that's not good at all.
No, wait. Yeah, you can burn it with Vilgefortz. What am I talking
It's true.
about?
I mean, he can.
Yeah, this is perfect. This is perfect. You can burn Calvate with. Yeah, that's tremendous actually.
Oh, and actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. Burn Calvert, immediately
Yeah.
activate the cat here. Yeah, that'll be
Easy game,
something.
easy life for Coleman. This is the Vilgefortz of a dream. For the
Exactly
night
as it
sky.
had to go down. Calvet, just a brief disappearance, and he's back with the Mandrake. Just a big buff here on, it's going to take it by 10 points. Coleman, it looked bleak, turning it around, getting the pass, finding that break point that we talked about as we tie things up here 1-1. I mean, this is just...
This is tight.
We're watching two masters play this game.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we've seen these two players perform perfect round twos. Just knowing, that's what makes these players the best in the world. They know exactly how far to push. And in situations that seem dire, they do manage to put the opponent in a bad spot and get the round 3 they want. You know, dry passing is an option in Gwent, but giving the driver's seat to the opponent, you know, if they're a good player, they're going to make you suffer for that. And these two both these games that they've won is through that. Getting that perfect round 2, knowing exactly how much to push, and getting that card advantage back. As John Calvade is victorious for Coleman, full tits for Proneo, as we have Bruver and full tits versus Croc and Bruver.
Coleman has another chance on blue coin here, maybe to go for the Bruver. Bruver is such a strong deck, it just performs well even at disadvantages. We saw Coleman tie up that last game when he was down 2 cards at one point due to a really bad reconnaissance. So Coleman believes that Bruver is a very strong deck to actually capture a win on blue coin, and we're going to see if Coleman opts to bring Bruverhoog into this. And in response, it sounds like Proneo is going to be, it's going to be full test taking on Croc actually.
Ooh, Northern Realms versus Skellige.
Oh, this is
God, what is that hand?
That hand's not good at all. Risky mulligans, but you have to take them. You risk drawing into a Temerian infantry to get rid of those blue striped scouts. Oh. And if you try to go for the blacklist, you have to stick a command. You have to keep a commander in your hand. So it's possible Coleman goes Temerian infantry, commando.
Oh man, that hurts.
Or
okay,
he's gonna go for the high roll.
1, 2, okay, one more. No infantry, no infantry, no infantry.
Like I said, we're watching we're watching two masters play the game. That's the best mulliganing I've ever seen.
You gotta train and eat your veggies every day to get those mulligan skills, son. Oh my lord. Dodge 3 bullets right there.
Like you wouldn't even know how gross that draw was, as Coleman is going to get things started here with the thinning and with the awesome full test deck. Proneo once again with veterans.
The problem with this hand for Proneo is that his Scowl is dead. His mulligan didn't go all that well. You know, it's funny because Coleman's hand looks horrendous, and yet he ended up with a very solid opening hand, while Proneo there has both, Ulderic and Morkvar, which means there's no other cursed unit in his deck, which means that Scowl is bricked if he draws into it.
Coleman actually has an opportunity to play Reaver Scout very early on Blue Stripes. Got so much control in this tournament. We have seen the Blue Stripe Scouts trying to be interfered with constantly in almost every matchup. At least in this point, all of the Scouts are going to be coming out here as Proneo is going to turn this point for Brooke.
He gets rid of the break. That's perfect for
Problem
him.
solved.
Easy.
Future proof.
So easy.
Yeah, just like the mulligan. Easy for Coleman, easy for Proneo. Everything you want to see.
Just gotta believe in the heart of the cards, man.
No restore though again.
People don't know.
Also, all 3 archers in hand again, which means Croc's going to give that information to Coleman. And Coleman used that information in the last game. Absolutely.
Like, you could make an argument for playing the archers early on to disrupt the Blue Stripe Scouts' buffs, but I think he wants to preserve them for that, Mega Sword combo right there. But the thing is, Coleman knows Sihil is incoming. But I think, Coleman is actually... Coleman is bluffing the fact that he doesn't have the last Blue Stripe Scout.
Because exactly. He played full test. He played full test in advance there, and also, I mean, Proneo could deny a fair amount of value with these archers. But at this point now, 3 buffs.
He may be discouraged to do it because he may think, oh well, it doesn't matter. He doesn't have the 3rd scout anyways. And then Coleman is like, surprise, motherfucker. I didn't say it. Don't fire me.
Oh Mogwai. There is the first round going to Coleman. He just had so many points. Proneo really couldn't get in there. He played the spy in the first place, and Coleman just decided, okay, well, I don't run a spy in this deck. I'm just going to go ahead and put you in a position where you just can't push anymore. And that gives Coleman the ability to control the rest of this game at this point, although being down 2 cards at this point, plus the carryover once again protecting Proneo. Coleman, we're going to see another round 2 masterpiece.
But look at this. Coleman is down 2 cards.
Yeah. This is
huge. Like, the fact that he played that spy and forced him into that spot, and now Koloman has to. Like, we've seen very impressive round 2s, but can Koloman repeat what Pronio did and, you know, get the extra card out of Pronio here? I don't know. Against veterans is way tougher. And his hand seems less, you know, you would say breakable. Let's go with that here on, because he has only 2 reses in hand, so Pronio can go deep this round if he needs to.
And that's why I think Koloman might be developing weather sooner rather than later. I think that the ranged row is probably in a pretty good spot for that. If Koloman wants to just make this a little bit harder for Pronio to keep up. And that also would kind of signal that Koloman's ready to go into a long round. If he's not interested in doing a long round now, then he's going to probably hold on to that weather. But playing the Temerians here forces Pronio, yeah, he's going to go maybe just a tempo out. Koloman has the option now that all the commandos are out, the Temerian infantry is out. It means Dijkstra is much more favorable to play, and Dijkstra can be absolutely backbreaking with the tempo, could force Pronio to play even more than 2 cards if it hits something like Seltkirk, and then something into like perhaps marching orders. Siege Tower is also very good. The Dijkstra just has a lot of potential, and it also thins, and it's fairly safe. And if it hits Stennis, I mean, it's just could be absolutely massive. Activates Shawnee. It's a fair risk to take, and it's a huge commitment. He's already committed 1 win condition with the Temerian infantry. So how deep is he looking to go, and when is that weather going to come down, if at all?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It is a win condition, like the infantry, but at the same time, it does break your draws. It is risky to preserve. So, like I'm still not sure exactly how far Koloman wants to push here, but these players, you know, they've shown in the past 2 games that they really go deep in round 2. They go all in, and they want to make sure, because right now, if Koloman were to pass, like he goes into round 3 1 card less than Pronio, right? So he's definitely gonna keep on pushing. When will he time that DJ? I'm honestly not sure. It really depends.
I mean, at this point, as Pronio is starting to catch up here, now not a huge separation in points. Koloman would just, if Koloman wants to put Pronio in a position where he just has to invest a large amount of value. Also in this situation, because it was a very short round 1, the resurrections once again for Pronio could be a liability, and Koloman may see an opportunity to push there as Sigdrifa and the Priestess of Freya is available. He's going to take that nice value for the trebuchet. I love Koloman's decision to bring the trebuchets instead of the siege tower. It just brings a different level of utility, and you can actually get more value out of the trebuchets.
Yeah, you can. I don't find them as reliable. I think siege towers are overall safer, but it is true that trebuchet has a 2-point higher ceiling than the siege tower does. As Pronio takes advantage of this and utilizes the Spear Maiden to finish off that Bearmaster and thus enable his Priestess of Freya. So that's 1 card less that, you know, he's not going to be put in the same position basically as he was before in the Alchemy matchup. As Koloman still does have his 2 weather resources available, and I gotta agree with you. Like I honestly, he wants them for round 3.
Yeah, I honestly thought just holding on to Deathbolt and Vademaker for that long, it just basically said, I'm pushing a little bit.
Yeah.
The thinning was important for the Temerian infantry because that makes Dijkstra easier to play because, you know, depending on Pronio's play, Koloman is a very adaptive player. He was able to dictate exactly how he wanted that to go, and I think that ultimately he puts him in a great position. His hand is quite strong, and now he has double weather for a long round, knowing that Pronio doesn't have a clear for that.
Pronio's hand is looking extremely powerful. While Koloman does have double weather source, Pronio has the most powerful tool of all, and that is Mega Sword Sihil.
It's true. Pronio does have the long round, has a little bit of long round protection here. As the longer the round goes and the larger the board is developed, Sihil can get some huge value.
How about that tech?
Exactly.
It's so cool.
Plus, all the archers are available. Archer in the graveyard plus 2 14-point archers available as well. Archers not commonly seen. You see more usually on ladder. You'll see the Tuirsark Hunter a little bit more often than the Archer, but just utilizing Sihil in this way is just such a cool approach, and it's done pretty well for Pronio. When it's worked, it's really, really worked, and you know, and when it hasn't, it's been enough to actually get him back into a round at least.
I think if you're Pronio here, you just stack the melee row. Because you know Death Mold, you know he wants to weather you with Death Mold as well, so you just try to row stack on the melee row as much as you can to avoid rain from hitting. Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna see. I mean, you can place the you can place the Freyas, for example, in the back row because it would only take one hit from the rain anyways.
Dijkstra is also available to be placed on Proneo's board if he wants to, set up another row here, perhaps on the rain on the siege row or the range row, and then play Dijkstra. There's not so few turns, I should say, where that doesn't actually approach decent value. But of course, at that point, if you're just removing 9 points from the board, you might as well just hold on to the Thunder. So Coleman might maybe just wait a little bit longer on developing any future weather, even though he does have a disloyal unit to help him out.
I don't know about you, but I want to see that Sihil. I want to see that Excalibur hit down and just wipe the board. That's going to be a massive swing for Proneo.
I mean, you want to see
double
Sihil.
Archer to build up for it too.
You want to see Sihil. I'm always excited to see Dijkstra. So, the series so far has been fantastic. We've already had a tie game, of course. The Masters are tied at 1. Vernon's going to get that full value, the 21 points. Just like you said, a 21-point card, but really more like putting 21 points in your deck, indirectly, spreading it out. Yeah, just giving you just that much more tempo consistently. And that's what Full Test has been able to do in this matchup. Consistent tempo, really, really efficient, being able to thin down to play absolutely dynamite Dijkstras. And we're seeing a little bit more of that right now. As Coleman sees a pretty decent target here in the Bearmaster for the, he's maybe second guessing here, looking at the graveyard, seeing what are the options for the Priestess of Freya, what are the options for Sigdrifa?
I'm a big fan of Proneo's positioning here. I was saying prior that he could stack everything in the melee row, but to ensure that he doesn't, run out of space in said melee row, he's really avoiding Coleman from getting that rain value as well because of how he's positioning these units. He's putting all the thickness on the melee row to avoid rain from finding good targets to capitalize on. As down goes the Battering Ram, eliminating one of the Bearmasters right there.
Here comes Triss possibly. Oh, he's just going to go ahead and clear that weather. Okay. So Coleman is just able to drop rain if he wants to. But at this point, with only the 4 turns really remaining of getting that rain value, the weather over time is not necessarily better than just using it for the Thunder. So
great timing. That's excellent timing for Triss. Being like, okay, I know you may have Death Mold as well, but it's not worth it for you anymore because it will be 13 points in total, which is less than the 14 the Thunder will get him with. So. Excellent timing by Proneo here.
Now, if Proneo didn't have 20-point lead with that play, he may have actually opted to search around for that final. Well, Freya doesn't have a target anymore, so that's one of the reasons why. He's going to go for the rain. He's going to go for it
regardless. Okay, is this 7?
Well, I think that's probably just because in this situation, Death Mold can just go ahead and develop here, because the plays that Coleman has after this are just absolute bombs. So I think Coleman's just sequencing it this way.
Well, it is it's 15 points. It's one more point than going for Thunder. And 1 point can make the difference. So I think, you still go for the rain here. Because it will proc, even after he plays his last card, it will. Because if it procs now for 7, then when he plays one card for 9, then 11, and then 13. But then
it was still good timing by Proneo. It minimized the damage.
Proneo has to play one more card. That's the thing, because he has one card over him, so it's gonna hit for one more. So it's better than just going for the zap.
Yeah. So that first light that Proneo decided to put into the deck, which
it definitely worked.
Gets overlooked a lot, I think, because it kind of hides in the deck. It's never in hand, but Triss shows it to you, just reminding you that even though Gremist isn't in the deck, there is an opportunity to actually clear with Triss.
And Coleman's gonna cycle the other Battering Ram, gonna drop down the Sigdrifa, the resurrected Hannah-chan right there. And, the veteran.
The veteran, yeah. Every single Gwent Open Hannah-chan. I mean, it's just thinking about the dedication that Hannah-chan puts towards his pro ladder play.
It's very impressive, the fact that he makes it to every single event.
He makes it every time.
But I gotta say that I'm very excited to see Coleman in the final, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Hannah-chan's got his win.
Yeah,
it's time for these players to I mean, Coleman
and Proneo as well. Like, this final is actually like...
It's like graduation day for one of these players, I think. Looking for a major victory here in Gwent Masters.
None of these two, despite how much of a credentials they have in this game, they haven't managed to get a win in an official Gwent tournament. So
here's Colomon's chance. I mean, he has to spin one hell of a tune because Sihil is going to get. Oh, he has the dead marching orders. That's not going to do it, my friend.
Oh, that was a bad DJ. But please go for the sword. Yes, yes, of course you did. Thank you.
He just wanted to play it.
Hashtag Mega Sword.
Pronio, I was in one of the rooms of Pronio. Pronio was talking to a friend of his, I think, in between matches when Colomon and Hanachin were playing. And as soon as he picked up, I was just walking out of the room, but I could just hear Pronio going Sihil, Sihil, Sihil on his conversation. He's just I think he's really proud of the decks that he builds. Ever since Challenger #1, he has always talked about.
He was the man who built the Warcry deck.
He was
the original.
The self-wound. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And everybody like necked at him for the Challenger. Like he's been a pioneer in deck building ever since he started playing Gwent. So I'm definitely a big fan of Pronio's decks personally. It's like out of like the competitors lately, he's the one that I like copy decks from the most. To be honest. I'm just gonna say, like, I like his decks.
Mogwai outed as filthy net decker. It's true. Pronio is 1 win away from being the champion for Gwent Open #6, and he has 2 chances with a very strong deck in Brewer Shoop. It's going to be tough. Colomon also has his own Shoop, and we may actually see a Shoop mirror if Colomon doesn't opt to go with full test here. And it is actually going to be full test versus Shoop before the ultimate potential Shoop mirror for Game 5, should it occur.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It could be the last game. Pronio needs to win here.
Oh, you want to, just blacklist that. You have the Commando.
Good, yeah, it turns out to be a good mulligan here.
So the full test deck looking too thin in that last matchup. Now Colomon was out by a fair amount of points, so I don't think that Dijkstra ultimately mattered here. Pronio with the Geralt Igni in hand, and Geralt Igni always looks good when you have him in hand. He's terrible top deck. It's kind of not ultra greedy to put Igni in hand, but when you, especially in latest in the meta that's out right now, a lot of open passes, a lot of engines, a lot of row stacking, a lot of movement as well. Igni's been able to get a lot of value, and with Pronio having a lot of options to do pings, it's possible that he finds really great Igni value if he's in control of a long round. But either you're in control of a long round or you're in a long round 1. So Igni's value may be what Pronio needs to rely on to really get an edge on this high-tempo Northern Realms deck.
It's also important to note that this Northern Realms list does not run a Silver Spy of its own, so Pronio can easily lead off with the Silver Spy and not fear a retaliation in round 2, having his opponent play a Silver Spy on him and being able to bleed him as much as he wants. So he has the freedom to lead off with that Yavin to basically reverse, quote-unquote, the coin flip in his favor. And for newer players, what I mean by this is that in Gwent, generally, the player who goes second is favored, as the first player has to basically ensure that he gets more strength than the opponent every time they make a play. Otherwise, the opponent can pass and make them go down an extra card. And card advantage is very important in Gwent. So the fact that Northern Realms doesn't tend to run Fowler because they don't have a way to tutor it, and the fact that Pronio knows this enables him to lead off with Yavin, draw a card, basically stall out his turn, and have Pronio get in the lead at the exchange of giving him 13 points, of course.
Colomon opting to develop full test here at this point, as the Blue Stripe Scouts are, that show is over here, as Pronio is running a little bit of the more control variant of Shoop. We've seen a lot of different Shoops, and it's interesting because the variations between the lists, it's kind of the same list, but can be drastically different with just a couple of different bronze choices. And in Pronio's case, gold choices, as Igni is, we've seen Igni be popular in various stages of different metas, but Igni is not a card that was brought by very many players this time around, but Pronio believes in it. I'm talking about Igni a lot.
The thing is, as our dear friend Panda would say, the chicken's out of the coop now,
Oh, yeah.
Geralt Igni is, it's not a surprise. And Colomon has Pronio's list, so he knows, he's expecting it. So you can definitely bet on Colomon doing everything he possibly can to not play into the Igni. But it's easier said than done. Okay. Because Colomon is playing trebuchets instead of siege towers. So his ability to block that Igni is hindered. So it's going to be very interesting to see if Colomon can find that big Igni if he does find it, will propel him to a victory and will make him the Gwent Open 6 champion. So Coleman really has to do his very best to avoid that. Right now he does have Ronvid, but if he plays him now, then Ronvid will be 1 strength in round 3. So I think the very key thing of this match is when Igni will and how Igni will be played.
But I think that's the thing, right? Now Coleman had a great pass there in that he just had the points, just so many points that Pronio wouldn't be going in there, and he was down a card. Pronio is going to go up a card into this matchup, very strong. 4 golds in hand, not too bad. However, Coleman being able to control the length of this round can play around Igni all day long at this point. So he needs to be careful about the Temerian infantry. Obviously, Ronvid could protect a row, but there's really no reason for Coleman to even put himself in a position where Igni can even be active. He can play kind of a mid-ranged, like a mid-sized round 2, and then just hope that his golds will be able to carry him. This time we have no Dijkstra, Shani and Selkirk in hand as well. Pronio's hand is so good. That's the issue I think Coleman is going to have to deal with.
I shall not fail.
Big buffs on the gold cards, which are likely going to be used as endgame bombs anyway. He already put the buff on Triss, and he gets 2 buffs right on the gold card. Pronio's got to be pretty pleased with that one.
Yeah, that is exactly how he would place them if he were able to do it himself. Really, really solid there for Pronio. That Aegis is going to represent a lot, either onto the reinforcements or the marching orders. Aegis is really powerful this matchup, and Triss is always just very, very strong too. Triss, one of my favorite goals that was introduced with the arena patch.
Oh, Triss Reconnaissance changed everything.
Yeah,
it just changed. It made so many.
It was kind of overlooked with the announcement though, which is funny.
Oh, because everybody was so focused on Dandelion Poet when he was 6th strength in the original preview, and of course talking about Imler Sabbath, the what was potential for that. Roach Merciless, how we would probably not see that card outside of arena, and even then. So I think that Triss just kind of like it looked like a good card. 6th strength, 2 is a spell, but man, being able to have reconnaissance, being able to have that access, adding it to a deck like Veterans, which lost a lot of access when Veterans lost their soldier tag. I could go on and on about Triss Telekinesis, but we have a game to watch here. Pronio is 1 game away here for the finals against Coleman, and Coleman is pushing, trying to get as much value out of his cards right now and avoiding Igni.
Bruver into Barclay, into Dwarven Skirmisher, hitting the Ronvid, trying to soften up that row for a potential Geralt Igni, as he knows that Coleman wants to play, his machines on the same row as his crewmen. Therefore, if you were able to pick up a Dolblath and an Archer with that reconnaissance, he could be in business here. He could hit the Ronvid for 3 and then hit the Trebuchet for 1 and then just line up a crazy Igni there.
Yeah, but that's actually the thing, right? Because Coleman works so well with crewmen, ultimately Igni is going to find some sort of value because you need to play a lot of units on the same row to get that extra value. So playing around Igni, Coleman just kind of taking that risk, that number risk there, in that he's going to maybe allow an Igni in a round that he has already won at this point. So I think it's going to be probably all good. If Pronio thinks that he's not going to get any other value from Igni, it'd be interesting when he goes to play it. It's possible that he would play it in any situation that gets him ahead. As Coleman continues to stack up that row, Ronvid protecting.
Down goes the battering ram onto the Neophyte. And gonna hit the Dwarven Skirmisher, not wanting to eliminate the Barclay because Decoy has not been played yet, even though Pronio does not have it in his hand. Coleman with a 29-point lead over Pronio as he's hovering over Triss. Gonna drop Triss now, actually. Gonna go for the recon, and there's the Archer. There it is. Gonna hit that Ronvid and the Trebuchet for 1, and look at that Igni in the back row.
Coleman.
This will force Selkirk out of him or a pass, one of the two.
And Pronio is going to find the value he needs, one way or another.
Or he can go to Trebuchet. Reaver Scout into Trebuchet will block the Igni again. But then Pronio may actually play the Righthead Brigade, and then that will probably force a pass.
I mean, this also just bleeds one more card out of Pronio, although Coleman not in the most favorable bleed roll, being down on cards against Cheap in a hand like this. But he is able to protect himself, force Pronio to play a little bit more. A lot of resources still available for Pronio. He is at a point deficit where he has to play big, or he's going to go, take the words out of my mouth, as opposed to, he'd actually play very small here. He is just going to go ahead and just activate that Igni because that is the big play he'll need. He has the card, he can afford to do that.
Selkirk is the only way. Selkirk is his only play at this point to block that Igni. It's either that or pass.
Such a commitment as well when you're down on cards. Selkirk represents so many points.
Well, I mean, if he passes now, he goes even into round 3, right? But
not the worst.
So, like, this is not a bad pass for Coleman. Like, it's not an awful pass.
Pronio was just very, very protected, reducing that trebuchet down to enable that massive, massive Igni.
This is a very key turn for Coleman. He has 2 options. He either passes or he plays Selkirk on the back row. Otherwise, he's gonna get blown back, and he knows this. He's just pondering between these 2 decisions, and he opts to go with a pass, preserving Selkirk for round 3. I think this is the best decision, but it does give Pronio, like, this is also a great moment for Pronio to, like, take the Igni, because getting Igni in round 3 is less likely, especially when you know the opponent is playing it. Like, Coleman will do everything he can to stop it.
Here we go, folks. It's only game 4, but we know Pronio is up 2 games on Coleman. The Dijkstra draw, very, very good. I mean, Coleman's just trying to draw his best possible cards here. Now with Pronio, Shoop, and Aglace available, the reconnaissance was not. The reinforcement is Aglace active at the moment? It's possible that I missed it. Oh well, no, the marching order is in Coleman's hand. The reinforcement could be a card that Dijkstra pulls if it hasn't been played yet.
I don't want to die.
It's going to take a little look. It has been played. There it is in the graveyard. Thanks, Coleman.
Yeah, drop down the infantry.
Lie still.
And here comes Aglace, who's going to get Hattori into Barkley. Oh, the big plays that Skoital has been making for. Oh, the agitator for a little extra oomph. Not even over. Pronio is going to come out of this 20 plus points ahead, depending on what that draw is.
This is a very tight round. Like, Coleman has a lot of power, but the fact, Aglace plus Shoop is a lot as well. I mean, though he does have 2 weak plays here.
It's true, yeah. The bronzes aren't.
Yeah, those 2 bronzes are 20 points combined, so it's as if each of them were 10 points. And Dijkstra sometimes rivals the power, or even surpasses the power of Shoop. So, while Pronio does have a current 19-point lead, this is far from over. Coleman has a lot of strength here available, and he just needs to sequence as best as he can. He needs to find the best potential value for Selkirk, which may just very well be onto that 9 strength Aglace.
Pronio opting to move that agitator just to remove any more potential value from battering ram, as it wouldn't have a 4-point target to hit with Ronvid on the board. So that was the extra little bit of deliberation. I think Pronio just trying to make sure that he's getting as much value as possible. Coleman's hand is so good, and Pronio's hand is now looking a little bit, the Mahakam guard is 11 points in the Vride Brigade, 9 points, no weather to clear.
No decoy, denying the decoy, even though Pronio does not have it in his hand. He could fish for it with Shoop Mage, potentially, so he did deny that play. Pronio 3 points ahead, but like I said, his next 2 plays are very weak. Shoop is his big finisher, but will Shoop be able to overcome Selkirk and Dijkstra? I'm not sure. I don't know about that.
The marching orders, I believe, we haven't seen. We haven't seen Stennis in this particular match. We've seen Foltest so much Mogwai in the last couple hours. Maybe Coleman takes a look at the graveyard one more time, or maybe Dijkstra's just gonna make it happen.
Serious.
Aeromancy, Vadermaker.
Vadermaker with the perfect 9 strength target there with the Altar's Thunder. And down goes the battering ram onto Dijkstra. That was a perfect Dijkstra. I mean, there's stronger Dijkstras, but that's pretty much as good as it's going to get.
He gets the 4-point target for the battering ram. It all lines up there for Coleman.
12-point lead for Coleman, having 2 cards. And oh man, he needs too much strength in the Shoop. This Shoop can't do it. I think we're going down to a 5th game, folks. I
wouldn't mind that at all, Mogwai. No, I think that these guys deserve an absolute drag-out brawl. There's the Stennis into Death Mold, and between Selkirk and what Shoop is actually capable of. And Shoop can do a lot of stuff, but he can't. I don't think he can take this one. Even 25 won't be enough.
I don't like. There's no potential Shoop here to go for. He's gonna go for the save Knight.
The biggest and best thing he can do here. Or is the draw? He has 1 card left in his deck.
Like, even the charm is just only 24 points if you were to hit, like, the highest strength
I'd go
unit.
for the Hail Mary. Oh, God. Would you like to see a Gwent Open decided by that? We have a shoot mirror coming up, potentially. I don't think I would like to see that.
25-point Shoop, only 4 points ahead. Selkirk is gonna seal the deal here, hitting that Elf Hunter in the back, and we got a game 5, folks. Coleman taking the win.
Oh, we got a
with
series,
Temeria.
folks.
We got a series. It is Coleman's.
Oh, man.
But what deck remains for Coleman here? It is
No,
a shoot mirror.
I mean...
A shoot mirror. We're gonna end this with a shoot mirror, folks.
I mean, obviously I can't have a conversation with anybody watching this particular matchup right now, but when you heard that Shoop was going to be at the opener, you actually had the inkling. You saw, some previous tournaments, Red Dragon and Wild Hunt Philadelphia both had Shoop play there. When you saw Shoop in there, how did it make you feel? And how does the fact that this Gwent Open 6 is going to be decided in a Shoop mirror, just listen to yourself and how that makes you feel, because this is going to be a brawl right here. The advantage in the mirror usually goes to the red coin. Spy available here on Coleman's side. That it could be huge.
Both players have the spy available.
Yes, that is true.
And the difference here is that we
Streamliner.
see Pronio with Shoop in hand immediately. Like, the thing about Shoop is that because you're forced to run one copy of each bronze card, you don't really thin as effectively, and you're really susceptible to draws. So actually getting Shoop is easier said than done. Even though with Yavin in hand and Decoy and Mardrim in hand, Coleman has Reconnaissance, and that's it. He has Reconnaissance, that's it. So Yavin is a 50-50. Oh, and he just mulliganed into it. So Yavin is Shoop 100% because Yavin does draw a special card and a unit. And the Coleman special cards in his deck are Mardrim, Reconnaissance, Decoy, and Shoop. 3 of them in his hand. So it's guaranteed.
Oh, we're on two different wavelengths on that one, Mogwai. I looked at the Bricked Mercenary, but you look at the guaranteed Shoop. I mean, you're seeing definitely the silver lining as Coleman's going to go for the open pass on blue coin. You're just going to go ahead and you understand this is a mirror. Turn advantage is extremely important, and this is a very low commitment play, activating the stage for Pronio, thinning his deck a little bit.
I like this
very
play. It's
safe
perfect.
play.
Because if you were to utilize Hattori to resurrect the Elven Merc later down the line, that carryover strength will definitely matter, especially in a mirror match right there. All right, dry pass right there for Coleman.
And I wonder if Pronio is going to return the favor here.
Both players have the spy, so it's going to be very interesting to see who can push deeper.
Spy, pass, perhaps?
Coexistence.
No such thing.
And if we have a little one-round Gwent here for Gwent Open number 6 finals. I mean, I feel like it's hard for this match to get more interesting, but I think that if this was just one long round 3, that would be a roller coaster.
Yeah, that'd be pretty nutty. Now, something here that Coleman may be pondering about is, do I act like I don't have Yavin? Do I bluff the fact that I don't have Yavin and make a series of pretty high tempo plays so I can ease out the Yavin? He's gonna do that.
He has the recon back in
He's
the
not
deck
gonna,
here
because
on
if
his
he
mulligan.
answers Yavin,
Everything all right?
he can just Pronio can just dry pass on him and force him to get that extra card. But instead, he's acting and that was risky.
I actually thought that went on the Swordmaster, which is my but it's still good to get it on the gold card and
not Yavin, of course.
Yeah, especially not Yavin. The Vride Neophytes are they are one of the few cards that are left that are still buffing disloyal cards, and that is if playing with the Neophytes is always an option. And there's the pass, which forces Coleman to he could just play the spy right now and draw a Shoop. That's that's the situation that was right here.
This
So
is the same as before.
Yeah,
Like,
it
this
works.
is
It
completely
works.
fine.
We were not the ones.
This is great. He was able to play the Elven Merc first, and then thin out that recon, and now he guaranteed that Shoop draw with Yavin. And here we go, folks. A long round 3. Shoop versus Shoop. Who shall prevail?
And both players have Shoop as well.
You know what both players don't have? 4 golds. Coleman
true.
with that hotness in his hand. Not only Shoop, but Isengrim, Triss, and Aeglaze. While Pronio only has 2. I think Coleman definitely has the upper hand with this hand. The only thing you would say is that we do see Pronio with Barclay, right? But Coleman can search for Barclay through Broover. I think Coleman's hand is superior.
Yeah.
It's gonna come down to how the weather is played, though.
Yeah, Barkley is great. Hattori can at least res the Mercenary, which gets the reconnaissance. So there is at least that. He does have the support and the Swordmaster. He's able to get value on that. But I mean, both players have an answer to weather. So, Pronio has an answer to weather. So Coleman, as far as long round, may not be interested in investing Vadermaker in that way. It's just 100% about sequencing for both players right now. And we haven't seen very many mistakes, if any, from either of these players in the series.
Pronio does have the Hawker support.
Round 3 at this point, you can
combo.
play as slow as you want to build as much value out of your cards as possible, and that's what this is going to be about. And what it is always about in the mirror, for sure, getting more value out of your cards than your opponent. Playing
Coleman
that value
gets
game.
full value on this Panther here, which is very, very important, as Pronio's Panther only hit for 10.
And it's the little things like that that actually
Exactly,
make the
like
difference.
every single point matters in this, especially in a mirror match. All right, the first weather goes down. Pronio does have Right-Head Brigade, so he can move other stuff into that row. Coleman does have a Vadermaker of his own to answer that.
Pronio has the weather clear.
Brewer into Ida, but if he goes Brewer into Ida, he misses out on Barkley Ells himself.
It's too bad because this isn't a great board for Coleman to consider counter-weathering, because if he is anticipating a clear, playing Ida for weather and then having Vadermaker for the second weather to even it out, but Pronio has the siege row is just, there's not enough value there for the long round if Pronio just plays around that. So you could just opt to clear it, maybe
Mercenary?
take
No
a
Mercenary.
couple ticks here.
He was fishing for the Mercenary there to save that skirmisher. He did not get it. And that fog, it's starting to get his value for sure. Down goes the Neophyte, apparently for Pronio. He's opting to go for the Macam Guard instead. The difference is that Neophyte is not. I think he holds on to that Neophyte for a little bit further to try to get that buff on the Elven Swordmaster.
I mean, considering Coleman is only going to get hit for the remainder of that skirmisher's life total at this point, you could make a case actually for weathering this road. The siege row looks much better now, as Pronio is doing Pronio things, playing all his units on the siege row. So I think that you could make a case to weather, kind of get the clear out and then go for the weather again, because this round is long enough for the weather is going to get a lot of value. And Coleman with the small row. He does have, of course, the movement ability. Pronio has that with his brigade, but if the brigade ends up needing to be cleared for weather, it actually is in Coleman's favor because nothing can be moved into that row with that movement.
There goes the Merc. Yep, he gets the Dwarven Mercenary, and he saves his fellow brother from the nasty fog and does leave that melee row obsolete. Pronio does have the ability to play Right-Head Brigade and potentially target the Dwarven Mercenary to and bring it to them to the melee row right there. He could do this.
But he knows that Coleman is running 2 weather cards. I mean, there could be just a nice timing of the weather of playing the Ride Brigade where.
Or he could go for his own counter Merc here.
Well, I was thinking about that. It could just go exactly the same way for Pronio. I have a feeling he's hovering over the melee row. He's probably just deciding what to move. It looks like he got it.
He got it.
He got it. Going for the Agitator and not the 11-point Mercenary into the fog. But he does have an additional movement as well.
Right now, Coleman does have a 17-point lead, both players at equal card state, but Coleman has gone for his Brewer play, which is why this current point disparity exists. We'll see.
So by leaving the 11-point Mercenary on the back row, is Pronio kind of saying, hey, remember I have Igni in my deck? Oh, you know what? Maybe I should just take that back. Nope, this is, he does have Igni. Yeah, so I mean, I'm trying to think of why he opted to not move the 11-point card there, but it's possible that Igni is active and he wants to maybe give misinformation to Coleman.
Yeah, I mean, bluffing, is very important in Gwent. Like, you can play some very legit mind games right there.
Hand reading and bluffing are 2 very important things that kind of go against each other in a lot of ways.
He denies that decoy onto the Vadermaker. Potential decoy there. Denied through the Dual Blast and Archer.
Coleman with a very, very high point lead here. Pronio has been playing kind of his lower tempo cards, the Malcolm Guard, the Hawker support to set up for the Swordmaster, and he still does have, as far as bronzes are concerned, slightly less. The Neophyte can be controlled, so it's highly likely, if not guaranteed, to hit the Swordmaster if he feels like he needs that extra point. But I mean, you can play that probably any time.
I think Pronio is still preserving that right-head neophyte in his hand to get the buff. To increment the chances of getting those buffs onto either the Swordmaster or Hattori. If he buffs Hattori, he can actually resurrect the Evrim Mercenary potentially as well.
I feel like if Pronio really wanted to bluff Igni, he actually could have used the Archer to hit the Mercenary there to line up 8s on the back row, but I don't really know how that would benefit him. I'm just thinking out loud at this point with that play.
Well, in a way, it could force like an underwhelming decoy from Coleman, or it could push him to make an awkward play there. So I think he could have done that, definitely.
Decoy into Barclay,
there's a decoy
always
that
great.
does enable the Eglaze onto decoy, though. Or decoy onto Barclay for the last dwarf, that Macam guard.
Coleman at this point
buff.
accepting the fact that he could lose points to Igni. Pronio not actually holding it.
But he has to play around it, because, you know,
Always. You have to.
he's not a psychic, so you gotta do it.
In general, you have to play around Igni. In general. 70 points to 32. Pronio has a lot of ground to make up. The Aglaze being activated on the decoy is fantastic for Pronio, as he has a Barclay of his own, and he may actually respond with that. Especially if he feels like Coleman wants to deny Barclay in some way. Which it's difficult to do that because that's a low tempo play one way or another to destroy a 2-point unit. Either you're playing.
Here it goes. Ooh, he gets the buff from Hattori.
That's pretty good. I mean, it didn't go on the Swordmaster, but honestly, you'll take what you can get at this point. He's still holding on to that brigade, potentially to move something into the fog after that agitator dies. So having the potential long round value of just getting full value out of the fog didn't really matter what Pronio moved because he could just move another unit.
There's a huge point disparity here, though. We're looking at 26 points for lead for Coleman. He will probably play. Oh, is he going to go for a zap or going to go for his own source of weather here?
Well, at this point, with still 6 plays remaining, you could make the case for.
Oh, he's going to create a Silver Elf. Let's see what he gets here. Ooh, Ida.
Ida or. Elias is not really the option there, so.
Oh, really?
Ida or
a Malena. Malena represents 15 points, actually.
Yeah, Malena has targets.
He could actually play the Elven Swordmaster onto the Neophyte and get 17 points instead. Yep, now he plays the Right-Head Brigade.
Malena always takes the highest unit that she can take, right? So it's not a possibility that Malena takes Barclay here. He always takes.
It's always the highest. But he could play the Elven Swordmaster to hit the Neophyte and drop it down to 5 to get the full 17-point swing for him. Like, that could be a good use of the Elven Swordmaster. This is tight. This is tight because at this point, you know, Coleman still has a very strong lead, and that Malena is representing even more. Like, that's the thing. Like, Coleman has a tremendous lead here.
He's going to go for the zap on for Vademaker. At this point, playing into the fog because it's inconsequential. Not making any better Igni Rose.
And we're going to see Eglaze drop down here for Pronio. Pronio has a lot of catching up to do. He has his plays are all incredibly powerful, while Coleman does have 2 rather underwhelming plays there with Sage and Elven Swordmaster. But the point disparity, even though the weather is ticking, the point disparity is just so massive here. Can he bring this back? Can he actually, like, equate the score?
You know, another thing that I wanted to point out, actually moving the agitator, is that you know, these are units that are getting damaged and aren't actually wounded units that can be kind of repaired and have big tempo plays with Martyrdom. So, you know, the Sage isn't fantastic in this matchup here, and I mean, there's oh, he gets the full value on the buff Barclay.
The timing! He played right into it. Oh man.
That was perfect.
That was perfect for Coleman. He got 2 extra points because of the timing of that Eglaze decoy.
And what was I talking about, Mogwai? If you're able to get more value out of your cards than your opponent, you're going to win a mirror almost every single time, and that is a maximum value Yorveth. Isengrim Outlaw.
That was a 20-point Isengrim, basically.
You'll take that any day.
19-point lead for Coleman, though the fog keeps on ticking. This is still not over, but that was very important. Those 2 extra points could really make the difference here. I don't think that was the right timing for Pronio. Oh, man. That really sucks for him. He could have played this earlier, for example. He's closing the gap though.
Ooh, are you ready for
12
shoot
points.
time?
Shoop is gonna happen soon. It's Elven Swordmaster, Eglace, and Shoop versus Bruver, Hattori, and Shoop.
It's good.
This is
I mean,
so
it's
tight.
so close. I mean,
This is so tight.
as you would expect from a mirror, as you would expect from two players at the top of their game.
If Coleman wins by like 1 or 2 points, it literally came down to that timing with the decoy. Like this is so intense here. Coleman really debating what to do. What are his Eglace options?
Decoy on one of his two Barclays. Well, I mean, actually, if there's even an option for that.
Let us sing the song of
Decoying, decoying the
I wanna look at his
Swordmaster.
graveyard to make sure I didn't miss to know exactly what is
Yeah, decoying the Swordmaster, or even decoying the Swordmaster, even shoot decoying the Swordmaster is actually a huge amount
the
of
buffed
value.
up Elven Merc from the initial Marjoram play onto a Recon.
Oh, a little bit of extra value there with Hattori getting the buff from the Neophyte. It all comes around. Little narrative there, a little story from Pronio's play here. He's got the Agitator and a Sage.
A Sage onto
The Marjoram is
Marjoram.
available.
Yeah, but Sage
But
into
is
Marjoram seems weak regardless, especially because he moved that buffed up Triss to the melee row. So I think we're gonna see a Dwarven Agitator. Oh yeah, he goes for the Sage.
I mean, a lot of these decks that we've seen are not so susceptible to cards like Mandrake and Marjoram. These are just like high tempo decks.
Wait,
like Voltec.
has he run out? Is that Dwarven Agitator bricked?
I mean, I feel like it must be. It must be.
Must have been,
I mean,
right?
he's played the Skirmisher, the Guard, the Mercenary.
that
They're all
really
on the board right
sucks
there.
for him.
Yeah, so he couldn't actually do it. He had to take this. He had to take.
Wow.
Now that is
Very underwhelming here.
Pronio's getting low value on his cards, and Coleman's getting
man.
huge value on his cards.
I think Pronio's sequencing here may not actually have been perfect, and he is 5 points behind, and Coleman has that big Eglace and that big Shoop, while Pronio has Barclay into Ida, I believe.
Brewer into Ida is
Brewer into Ida.
only thing that is left because we kind of get the read now that there's no Bronze Dwarves left. So Brewer has much better options here. Here comes Eglace, and we're about to see if Pronio Shoop save or not.
You'll be fine.
Eglace onto Recon. Eglace is not that strong. Gonna be able to clear the fog though. So this Eglace is still really strong actually.
upon which your kind
Because that Vrygad brigade was basically worth 13 points. So that was still a 21-point Eglace.
Let's get to work.
There's
Ida
the Ida.
onto Thunder.
And it's shoot time, my
5-point
friends.
disparity. Here it goes.
Let's see it.
If
Everybody.
you're Coleman, you have to go for the knight, right? Like you have to. It's the highest. Well, do you? Knight is the best play here.
You need to outvalue Pronio's Shoop. You have to put him on Shoop. You have Shoop. Everybody in the chat, I just want to see Shoop while screaming along with you, my friends.
Wait. 5-15. Yeah. I think Knight is the best option.
Unless there's a bounce that we're not seeing here, unless there's the Hunter, he's going for the bounce. He's going for the bounce or perhaps playing the special.
Through all the hazards, play a
He
bronze and
has
silver
the
unit
play.
from your deck.
He didn't get the bounce. He's got the value Shoop. He gets the 16 damage. Not bad. I mean, it's kind of close to what the Knight would get you anyway. So at least he has the backup just having the value play. Only 4 cards left in Coleman's deck.
Boost all
Boost
allies
all
by
allies, of
1.
course, it's
We
a
forgot about
full
how much
board.
is this?
Oh my
Oh,
God!
that is insane.
Pronio.
That is oh my God, that is 10, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. That's 23 points actually, right?
25 does not get Pronio there, so he needs to find a creative way to get even more value out of Shoop, and I don't know if it's possible.
21. Okay, so we currently see. Oh man, this is so tight.
I'm trying
29 points. He needs 29 points with his Shoop. Is it possible? Is it possible?
Here are your options: Mage, Hunter,
It
and
comes
Knight.
down to this.
Everything gets. He's going to go for the Mage in this
Oh,
situation.
is he going for the
He's gonna
weather?
go full hazard.
Oh, is this enough?
If he gets. Oh my God!
God, so
Shoop
close.
versus Shoop. Coleman finally taking a major victory. Pronio with an absolutely fantastic set. Both players should be really proud. It came down to just that fantastic mirror. Pronio is going to go down to Coleman. Germany takes home an open in this situation. Congratulations to Coleman in a very fantastic set. like I said before, 2 players at the top of their game. A handshake here for the players. Just an absolute great set.